It has been a long week and a half when it comes to Forsaken. The new characters have been complete game changers to the metagame. Guest 666 with its unique yet fair snowballing nature, and Veeronica with a gimmick which makes the word overtuned sound generous. 1 week since the update is 1 week since the update, so let's finally go over everything wrong with Veeronica's gimmick, how it obsoletes half the killers in the game, and stick around until the end to see how I'd rebalance Veeronica. Let's get into the video. Vandalism has fittingly vandalized Forsaken's metagame. Everyone knows Veeronica has an extremely good mobility tool in Skate, so what's the setup required? How about just a few seconds of wind-up? And not just a few seconds of wind-up, but you can cancel the ability at any time, requiring 0 commitment. Oh, also you can set up 3 of these. Alright, so you have your graffiti setup. This really sounds too good to be true. There's gotta be a catch to this. The graffiti getting consumed after skating? The graffiti area being small? A noticeable cooldown afterwards? Right? No! Not only do you get to place a few of these, but the graffitis aren't consumed after using Skate. The graffiti area is extremely generous, and there is a below 1 second cooldown after spraying a surface, only providing an actual cooldown if a killer breaks it. This is, of course, a lose-lose scenario for the killer. Chasing after the skating Veeronica will most likely waste your time and keep the graffiti up for later. Attacking the graffiti to remove it gives the Veeronica insane distance, stamina regen time, and depending on how bad it is, time to spray another graffiti. And I know what the Veeronica glazers in the audience are about to say.
Well, actually, you forgot that Vandalism has a proper cooldown if a killer removes it.
And how long is that cooldown again? 8 seconds! If you let the Veeronica get away to remove the graffiti they just used to skate, they're almost guaranteed to place another, as that cooldown is a mere formality. This isn't even going into the insane places you can place graffitis that are either tough to find, extremely out of your way to get rid of, or even both. But of course, vandalism wouldn't be as big of an issue if it wasn't for what the graffiti zones are used for. So let's go over that. Veeronica's skate ability is a breaking point for Forsaken's balancing. There's so much that could be done with this ability that just leaves other characters in the dust. At only a 5-second cooldown, you can initiate skate while in a graffiti zone. This ability lets you move 15% faster than your sprint speed, but drains your stamina 25% faster than sprinting. Crashing into a wall or the killer will deal 5 damage to yourself and apply slowness 4. But there's a catch. Hitting the spacebar while approaching a collidable surface will cause Veeronica to perform a trick, restoring 5 stamina and increasing your move speed for a little bit. Performing 3 tricks in a row also fills 5% of your battery. However, that's not all when it comes to a trick, as you also gain a notable amount of vertical height after performing a trick. This is unprecedented for survivors. So naturally, the question becomes, what can you do with this height? These one-way exits on Pirate Bay are close to each other, and sure enough, you can trick to the other side, wasting an unprecedented amount of the killer's time when performed. And this was just the tech found within the first day. While the landing ramp did get pushed back, word quickly spread about the application of Trick's vertical gain, and the rest is history. The level of verticality you can get from a trick breaks pretty much every map wide open in a way never before seen by the other survivors. And every day Veeronica is left unchecked, it's gonna get even worse. If you genuinely think this isn't broken, then I don't know what game you're playing. Sure, a Veeronica skating across half the map while you're the killer is entirely out of your control, but you can control if you're subscribed to the channel. So if you're part of the 96% of my viewers who aren't subscribed and you're enjoying the content, consider subscribing. Broadcasting straight to your device, this ability sucks to play against! Skate without broadcast is already troublesome. I sure wonder what happens when you add swappable modifiers to it that make it even better. Enter Bumper and Phase. Bumper is a direct upgrade to Guess 1337's charge, knocking the killer back more and charging her battery. The worst survivor in the game becomes even worse. Amazing. However, Phase? Phase is basically delivering a nut shot to an already writhing in pain slasher. Is tricking and all of the verticality shenanigans that come with it not enough for you? Let's take all of the skill out of that and allow Veeronica to make a quick, more or less uncontested escape by simply colliding into the killer, granting a whopping speed 4 buff for 1.5 seconds and a resistance 2 buff for 3 seconds, just to be sure. And it's not like this is a small hitbox. The hitbox is very generous for Phase. And there's zero downsides for switching broadcasts when you're not skating halfway across the map from the killer. Broadcast has a 0.6 second cooldown. Meanwhile, all Noob gets for mobility is Bloxy Cola, a 10-second speed 1 buff, which requires a whopping 2.5 second windup. An actually fair mobility tool, because it's not entirely free. With all of this, it makes 0 sense how this passed testing, and it makes 0 sense how a fair amount of people actually think Sixer is more of an issue. Veeronica has made half of Forsaken's killers unplayable. Half. This isn't a joke, I'm being dead serious. Veeronica's arsenal hard counters half of the killer cast, and due to Veeronica being as good as she is, there's going to be at least 1 or 2 per round. If a newly released killer had the stats and abilities to obsolete a survivor, regardless of who that survivor is, the community would find that unacceptable, period. There is no excuse to have double standards when it's a survivor causing the same issue to a series of killers, let alone one killer. That skate section was a pain to edit, so I'm going to quickly go over each of the obsoleted killers in a bit of a lightning round. Slasher is a melee range killer, meaning if you want to get rid of graffitis, you'll have to go up close to do that, and Veeronica is already on the other side of the map, where another graffiti is stationed. A lose-lose scenario, not even accounting for the simple fact that she outspeeds Slasher by an unfair amount while skating. And don't get me started on how phase canceling is just an FU to Slasher. Veeronica isn't just capable of going over John Doe's corrupt energy spikes, absolutely invalidating that ability, but trick over digital footprint traps. Another catch-22 where if you put a footprint down in a tight corridor, Veeronica can just trick over it. But if you put it in an open area, Veeronica can simply skate or just run around it. So the 2 abilities that allow John Doe to win matches are entirely obsolete. Great job. 1X's abilities that allow him to properly catch up to survivors and deal damage from a range, and entanglement and mass infection respectively are entirely horizontal projectiles. Trick. I rest my case. Unstable Eye isn't enough to make up for it with all the shenanigans Veeronica can do for mobility, especially when 1X has one of the slowest sprint speeds in the game. Cool kid. Not entirely obsolete, as you have a ranged projectile and a catch-up move, but man, are you really in a disadvantageous state when you're chasing down a Veeronica with Cool Kid, especially when Walk Speed Override heavily punishes you for missing. You basically have to play perfectly to win against a Veeronica if you're playing as Cool Kid. So, half your killer options are obsolete. One isn't completely invalidated, but still at a disadvantage. That leaves us with just Noli and Guess 666, which have the tools to somewhat catch up to Veeronica, being dash slop killers with extremely high mobility. Now, with that in mind, what are the only killers you see in lobbies from competent players? Taco Hot Dog Hamburger. Taco Hot Dog Hamburger. Noli Guess 666. Noli Guess 666. Save for a few outliers, the only killers which you'll usually be up against are Noli, 5-star difficulty killer by the way, and Sixer. While this can be correlated to them just being really good, a huge part of that right now is because they counter Veeronica. Think about new players who are stuck with Slasher. The worst matchup against Veeronica until they have the money to purchase a better killer. If you hate the currently stale killer meta, Veeronica is the main cause of it. Let's stop the double standards with this survivor completely invalidating killers and recognize this for the fundamental problem it is. Veeronica has shown that the Forsaken dev team is out of touch. So just to be clear, this is a survivor that obsoletes multiple killers, has a reusable get out of chase free card, and provides a degree of verticality that breaks the game wide open. There is an overwhelming negative reception of her when it comes to balancing. You want to guess what the first thing the dev team said after the meaningless slap on the wrist nerf?
I'll keep your feedback in mind. For now, I'm just gonna let them marinate, as I think that'd be the best choice for right now.
Truly the words you want to hear from a developer after seeing the most egregious footage of Veeronica breaking the game. It really is strange that whenever an original character is involved, they get way more love and overtuning than the rest of the cast combined. Builderman is in the gutter, while Dusakar barely qualifies as useful in a public experience, while 2x Rework took an annoying character and made them even more busted and punishing just for existing. It's sad to see Veeronica following the same trend of OC privilege, with the first quote-unquote nerf still keeping her overpowered, while the collective slasher, 1x, and domains groan in pain as they're told to quote-unquote let it simmer. This has been a reoccurring issue for the balancing team, and it always follows the same cycle. The original character gets released in an overtuned state. The Forsaken team does the least they can do to solve the fundamental issues with the character, and gives them a slap on the wrist nerf instead of a proper change. This character wreaks havoc on the game's balancing for weeks, even months. After enough time to where they can no longer just ignore the issue, the team finally acknowledges the problem and gives them meaningful nerfs. Although, if this character is not an OC, don't worry, Step 4 will instead be within a couple of weeks. The Forsaken team seriously needs to cut down on this, as it ruins the gameplay for everyone while being entirely preventable. They have a very good opportunity to do so with Veeronica, as the proof she needs a decisive nerf is damning. But by the way it's looking, I wouldn't be so hopeful about it. Veeronica is a serious problem, and with that starts a debate within an already existing debate plaguing the Forsaken community. So, Veeronica needs to be nerfed. But how does Veeronica need to be nerfed? To answer this, I want to provide a list of most possible nerfs to Veeronica. This is so you guys can easily discuss in the comments which combination of these nerfs would be best to bring Veeronica back down to earth. If you want to hear what I would choose to nerf Veeronica, just skip to this timestamp. Here's the list of potential Vandalism nerfs. Here's the list of potential skate nerfs. Here's the list of potential broadcast nerfs. And here's the full list of all the potential nerfs. Pause the video if you need to. Now, of course, you're probably asking, well, you just gave me a bunch of potential nerf concepts. Let's see you take a crack at it, Craft. Don't worry, I wouldn't leave you guys empty-handed on how I would specifically fix Veeronica. Personally, I would opt for a higher graffiti cooldown if a killer gets rid of one, a higher skate cooldown, a trick cap with a battery gain increase, a vertical gain decrease, graffitis getting revealed if the killer is close enough to Veeronica upon skate being used, invisible/border walls no longer being able to get tricked off of, and a hitbox increase on graffitis. The higher graffiti cooldown will greatly lower the chance of destroying a graffiti being a net of 0 for the killer. The higher skate cooldown is self-explanatory. Right now, it's 5 seconds until you can use it again. It's as powerful as a stun ability, and therefore I think it deserves a fitting cooldown. A trick cap means Veeronica can't get speed boosts forever, letting Slasher maybe have a chance. If you don't think a vertical gain decrease is needed, I think you need to rewatch the skate section. Graffitis getting revealed if the killer is close enough means hard to reach or hard to see spots are a little more visible to the killer, letting them, actually find the graffiti without wasting a bunch of time. Invisible/border walls no longer getting tricked off of is self-explanatory. You can ride the wall on Brandon's place all the way to the other side. Do I really have to go over this again? Lastly, I went with the hitbox increase on graffiti because there's some graffiti spots that Slasher just can't hit. This is a large series of nerfs, but with how much Veeronica can do right now, a lot is needed to not just make her reasonable when compared to the other survivors, but also to no longer obsolete half of the game's killers. This may be a tough pill to swallow for Veeronica glazers, but I can absolutely assure you that you don't need to be dependent on blatant crutches to win games, and you can instead pick up a Shadletsky like I did when I was new. That was a very heated rant, but this channel has been built on a don't glaze, be brutally honest mindset, so doing anything less would be a disservice to you, the viewer. Forsaken is in a critical moment when it comes to balancing. Veeronica has caused problems to the metagame for both survivors and killers, and it feels like every day there's another smoking gun video which just proves how broken Veeronica is. Whether it's the get out of chase free card that is Skate, the verticality granted by Tricks, or FaZe providing an effortless out of chase, it's clear there's outstanding issues which need to be addressed. The Forsaken dev team has the opportunity right now to deliver a decisive series of nerfs to Veeronica, proving they're both impartial and efficient with their balancing, and rebuilding the community's trust that major balance issues will actually be addressed when they arise. Only time will tell if they'll execute on that chance. See ya.